Hey guys, it's Cece, and today I am here to do a book haul. It's been a couple of months since I've done one of these because I have been trying to accumulate fewer books a little bit. I've just been running out of room on my TBR shelf, and my general rule is you can't have any more books than what fits on the TBR shelf. I'm getting around this right now because I put some books over here that I haven't read instead of up on the shelf. It's very tricky of me. But anyway, this is going to be my winter-ish book haul. This is going to be all of the books or graphic novels or comics that I have accumulated in January and February. Here's my stack, so let's just get into it going in chronological order. Let's go with that. So the first thing that I have is Giant Days Volume 2, and this is by John Allison, Lissa Treiman, Max Sarin, and Whitney Kogar. That's who wrote this. This is a comic series that follows these three girls their first year at university, and it's adorable. I purchased and read this particular volume because of the YA BookTube Awards, but it's definitely a comic series I've wound up enjoying, and I think that I'm going to continue forward. One of the three main girls is queer, and I'm really appreciating that journey that she's going through right now, but mainly this is a slice of life comic series, so every comic kind of has its own feel and there's its own things going on. The colors are super bright and beautiful. This is the general art style of the entire series. So it's just bright and colorful and fun, and I always appreciate reading stuff that takes place in college. Overall, I highly recommend the Giant Days series. I loved Volume 1, really enjoyed Volume 2, so glad that I now own it. The next one that I have is a little bit weird and completely out of the norm for my channel, but I felt like I had to mention it because this is a book I acquired and a book I will be reading at some point. But that book is Codependent No More by Melody Beattie, I think. This is sort of a self-help book, kind of. It was given to me by my mother, that is why I now have this. And the reason being that it is a thing that I kind of need to deal with. There's a line on the back that describes really well why I'm reading this. So this book is about the concept of losing oneself in the name of helping another, which is a thing that I have a really big problem with. I will completely put everything in my life on hold to make sure that the people around me are happy in the best way, which is not great for me personally because it means that I'm putting myself last. So yeah, that's a little bit personal, but that is why I'm reading this book, because that is what I do. And my mom gave it to me because it's also something that she has struggled to deal with, and this really helped her. I'm not sure when I'll be reading this, but I'm hoping it will help me a little bit in terms of being willing to say no and being willing to put myself first in some instances. So yeah, that is this book. Next up, I actually back in January got rid of like a ton of books. I did a 50+ book unhaul, and I sold some of those books to a local used bookstore, got some points, and I purchased 2 books because of it. The first of those is Eona. This is by Allison Goodman, and this is the second and final book in the Eona duology. Since this is the second book, I can't really tell you what it's about, but Eon is really, really cool as a book. It's about this girl named Eona, but she goes undercover as Eon because she wants to learn dragon magic, but women are forbidden from learning dragon magic. She's trying to become a new dragon eye for a particular dragon, which basically just means that she sort of channels the spirit of a particular dragon. That's the goal that she has while she is undercover as a boy. It's a really, really interesting book. I thought it was fun and adventurous, and I just really enjoyed it when I read it last summer, so I want to read the second book in the duology, which is why I have Eona now. This is still kind of a chunker. These are kind of big books, but I'm hoping to get to it over the summer, possibly. Yeah, I'm excited to finish off this series and find out what happens to all of our characters. The second book that I got at that book sale is not here with me, but I still want to mention it so I don't forget it in some future book haul, and that is Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor. This is the third book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, which I think I've talked about a fair amount on this channel. I really, really like the trilogy as a whole, and I've been collecting my own physical copies of the books because I've only had them on my e-reader. This actually concluded the series. I now have the entire trilogy in physical copies. They're all mine. This series is one that I think you should go into fairly blind, so I don't usually offer a very vivid description, but there's a thing at the beginning that basically says, once upon a time, a demon and an angel fell in love. It did not end well. That is kind of the thing that I give you going into the series. It is really magical. Laini Taylor has some of the most beautiful writing, like, ever. So I'm excited to have the final book in this series, and I highly recommend that you check out the trilogy if you haven't already. Next up, I have a book sent to me by a publisher, and that is Thanks a Lot, John LeClair by Johanna Parkhurst. So this is a super, super short book, but I agreed to read it because it does have a queer main character, which is, you know, that's like main reason I accept books on this channel. This is a companion novel to Here's to You, Zeb Pike, which I have not read, but the publisher said I didn't need to have read that before I jumped into this, but just so you know, there is a companion novel. This is about a 16-year-old hockey player named Emmett who's been writing to his hockey idol, John LeClair. He's been writing letters and stuff because he is being really pressured in his hometown to become the next big hockey thing, and then he's also dating the son of his coach, and no one really knows that he's gay, and it's becoming harder and harder to hide that. I've been really interested in trying to read a new book about queer hockey players. I read one last year called Jerkbait, which I enjoyed, but I was frustrated by the fact that it was written from the point of view of a straight character. But also this comes at the perfect time because I just finished reading or catching up on the webcomic Check Please, which if you haven't read, oh my god. But it is this adorable webcomic about a gay hockey player, and I finished it, and like, it made my heart glow and everything was good in the world, and then I remembered I have another gay hockey book on hand that will hopefully fill the hole that Check Please has left within me. So that is Thanks a Lot, John LeClair. Next up, we have The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. I have never in my life gone into a used bookstore with the hope of finding a specific book until this one. I walked into my used bookstore going, I need a copy of The Lovely Bones, and they always have it at every used bookstore ever, and I was right. So, The Lovely Bones is apparently a book that you can march into any given used bookstore and just find for like $2. The reasons I have this are numerous. First of all, it is the oldest book on my TBR. This has been on there since like 2012 or so, which is the reason it was put on my top 15 to read in 2017 list. I have to read this before the end of the year, so I decided to go and pick it up. This follows a girl named Susan, and when the book begins, she is already in heaven, and she is looking down on her family, and she's sort of recounting the story of how she died, or rather how she was kidnapped and killed. That is all I know about the story. Somehow I have made it to this point in my life without knowing anything else about it. I never saw the movie, I've never seen any spoilers for it, and yeah, I am excited to read this. I've heard good and mediocre things about this book, but I'm hoping I like it because I have put off watching that movie for a very, very long time in the hopes that someday I would read this book. Not sure when it's gonna happen, but now I actually own it, which puts me a step further. Next up, we have a couple of books that were sent to me from Penguin Teen. They sent me a Valentine's box if you want to go watch that unboxing. I'm gonna talk about the hardcover books they sent me. If you want to know more about the arcs that they sent me, you can go and watch that unboxing, but let's talk about the hardcover books. First up, we have We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. I just posted a review of this book about a week or so ago, and I'll leave that up on the screen if you want to go and watch it. But basically, this book is about a girl named Marin, and she is processing grief. It takes place over like 3 or 4 days of winter break, her first semester at college. She's completely alone on campus, but her best friend from home is coming to visit her. She hasn't talked to her since the previous summer, and she's going to have to address a lot of the emotions and things she left hanging when she ran from home after a loss that she endured. This is beautifully written. I love Marin as a character. Marin, by the way, is queer, as is her best friend Mabel, who is also Latinx, and the book is just really well done in terms of exploring grief. If you want to hear a lot more of my spoiler-free thoughts, you can go and watch my review, but that is We Are Okay, which I was so excited to receive from Penguin Teen because this was one of my most anticipated releases of this year, so I am so happy that I got the chance to read it this month. And the other hardcover book that Penguin Teen sent to me was City of Saints and Thieves by Natalie C. Anderson. I actually talked about this in my last book haul, I think, because at that point, Penguin Teen sent me a box with an ARC, which I left at home when I came back out here to college, so they sent me a hardcover, and now I can read the hardcover version of this. This book follows a girl named Tina and her mother. They are refugees from Congo, and they have arrived in Kenya. Her mother gets a job as a maid, but then shortly afterwards, she is found shot dead, and Tina is on a quest for revenge. And so for 4 years, she spends her time training to be a weapon with a local gang. It sounds like a cool revenge story. It sounds like a setting that I haven't read before. I don't think I've really ever read a book set in Kenya, but I cannot wait to go on this journey and find out more what this book holds because it sounds super thrilling and fantastic. Next up, we have a book that I actually won through a Goodreads giveaway. I never win giveaways on Goodreads, and somehow I won this one. So the book that I won was Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. This is an arc of Born a Crime, but this book is already out. I know it's already out because I bought a hardcover edition for my mother for Christmas. So Trevor Noah, in case you don't know, is the current host of The Daily Show. He took over from Jon Stewart, and this book sounds so fabulous. I've wanted to read it since I found out that it existed. Basically, Trevor Noah was born in apartheid South Africa, and he was born to a white father and a black mother when that union was forbidden, and so he became the evidence of a crime, basically, which meant he was mainly hidden inside. It means that he was born a crime. When he was born, he was already considered a crime. And so it is about his journey from that point to becoming a comedian, to becoming the host of The Daily Show. It's about his childhood in South Africa. I've heard that this is absolutely incredible, and I love Trevor Noah on The Daily Show. I think he's really funny and intelligent, and I cannot wait to read this, so I'm so excited that I won a copy from Goodreads. Next up, we have another book from an author that was sent to me, and that is The Dragon's Blade Veiled Intentions by Michael R. Miller. This is the second book in the Dragon's Blade series. The reason I accepted this book is actually because I read and reviewed The Dragon's Blade last year when Michael R. Miller sent it to me, and so he contacted me and said that the second book was in existence, asked if I wanted to read it, and I happily agreed because I am really excited to continue on in this world. So this is a high fantasy series, and the first book follows this guy, Darnweir, and he is the king of dragons, but in this world, through some sort of series of events, dragons have been contained into the bodies of human beings. And then there are these demons attacking the land, people are injured, and the only way that Darnweir can be saved so that he can go on to become the king of dragons is if a regression spell is put on him. So he is basically reborn, he becomes an infant, and he has to grow up anew, become a better person hopefully, so he can become the king of dragons and fight the demon horde that is attacking the land. It was a really interesting book when I read it. It messed with some cool high fantasy tropes. Darnweir was a really cool character, and there were some side characters that I wanted to know like 100% more about after I finished it, so I am very excited to have book 2 in my hands, and I can finally find out what happens to some of these characters. So next I have a comic and a graphic novel. I went to my local comic shop recently, really, because my girlfriend Janelle, she really needed a new issue of Hellcat, and she had to go to work, so I walked to the comic shop and I got her copy of Hellcat, and while I was there, I could not resist buying a couple of things because there was like a ridiculous sale going on. So the first thing that I got is a single issue comic of Torchwood. If you don't know, Torchwood is a spin-off of the TV show Doctor Who. It follows Jack Harkness as well as Gwen Cooper. So yeah, they track down alien threats, they get rid of them. Torchwood is a fabulous show. I highly recommend it. I honestly don't know that you need to know that much about Doctor Who to go into this story, but it's been a while since I've watched it, so that might be wrong. Correct me if I am in the comments. However, I did not know that Torchwood comics existed. This is actually a second series. I want to find the first series before I start in on this one. John Barrowman and Carole Barrowman have worked on this series, and John Barrowman, by the way, plays Jack Harkness, so that's who's working on this series along with a few other people, but I think I'm going to find the first series of comics about Torchwood and then jump into this one. It's really cool because I believe these take place after the final season of Torchwood, which ended on this ridiculous cliffhanger, and then the show ended. So I'm excited to eventually find the first one and then jump into this, jump back into the world of Torchwood because I love it, and I'm glad that I get to continue to live in it through comics. And the graphic novel that I picked up at my local comic shop was El Deafo by Cece Bell. So El Deafo is a graphic memoir of Cece's life, Oh man, that's gonna sound weird every time I say it. So basically this is a graphic memoir about Cece growing up deaf, and in her old school, like, everyone was deaf, but she's gone to a new school where she is kind of the only one. And as a kid, she had a hard time processing this. She felt really alone, but then this graphic novel turns into her feeling like it's more of a superpower. She can hear things very far away, and it just sounds super interesting. I've heard incredible things about this graphic novel. So impressive. This is the art style that you get inside, so it's a bit colorful, a little bit whimsical, but I cannot wait to read this and find out more. I think that it's going to be really fabulous, and I love graphic memoirs. That is the thing that I've learned in the past few years, is that I adore graphic memoirs. And the final book that I have for this haul is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This was included in the February Owl Crate box. It also included some cool paper goodies, so there's like a note from the author, there's a book plate, there is a little quote card. If you want to see my Owl Crate unboxing with Janelle, then I will leave that link on the screen, and you can go and see everything else that was inside Owl Crate. Basically, Caraval is about these two sisters, and they have grown up under the control of their cruel stepfather, and they have always wanted to go see Caraval, which is a once-a-year performance where the audience are participants. But a lot of time has gone by, it seems like they are never going to get to go, and then their stepfather arranges for Scarlett, one of the sisters, to get married. And magically, an invitation to Caraval finally arrives. There is supposed to be a lot of mystery and intrigue, carnival elements. This is supposed to be somewhat reminiscent to the night circus, all of which sound like really good things. So I was excited to see this included in the February Owl Crate. I think that it's going to be a pretty magical journey. So I'm not sure when I'll be getting to this one, but hopefully I will enjoy it. I've been super into fantasy so far this 2017. It's been such a fantasy themed year, so definitely feel like I'll be getting to this one in the coming months. Okay guys, there you go. That is my winter book haul. These are all of the books that I have purchased or have come into my possession in January and February. If you have read any of these books and would like to share your opinions on them, please do that down below in the comments. I'm curious to hear what people like, what people don't like, what I should prioritize. Let me know all of those things down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!